Chapter 52. For Su Qin, the daily sign in opportunity will never be wasted. One must know that sign in opportunities will not accumulate. Once you miss today, you will miss it forever. Thinking of this, Su Qin immediately prepared to go to the scripture pavilion. Calculating the time, Huiwen should have broken through grade 2 and entered the grade 1 Great Grandmaster realm, right? Su Qin opened eyes of truth and looked in the direction of the Bodhi court. Sure enough, in the depths of the Bodhi court, there was a faint aura of a grade 1 Great Grandmaster slowly stabilizing. A year ago, Abbot Huiwen was eager to break through, which led to cultivation deviation. If it weren't for Su Qin's help, the Shaolin Temple would have already been replaced by another abbot. After the last lesson, Abbot Huiwen learned his lesson and was no longer in a hurry to succeed. Instead, he took it step by step. As a result, with Abbot Huiwen's foundation and accumulation, it is only a matter of time before he steps into the grade 1 Great Grandmaster realm. According to Su Qin's guess, at most a year later, when Huiwen has fully grasped the power of a grade 1 Great Grandmaster, he will come out. The Shaolin Temple finally has a grade 1 martial artist. Su Qin was satisfied. Although a grade 1 Great Grandmaster is far from enough in front of him, the Shaolin Temple now has a powerhouse of this level. If there is any crisis in the future, Su Qin will not be needed. The stronger the Shaolin Temple is, the more relieved Su Qin can sign in. He doesn't have to worry about the Shaolin Temple being gone when he wakes up. Unfortunately, with Huiwen's aptitude, entering grade 1 is his limit. If he wants to go further and transform his body, divine sense, and internal strength, it will be as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Su Qin shook his head slightly. Although grade 1 Great Grandmasters all know what to do next, knowing is one thing. Whether or not they can do it is another matter. For example, the grade 1 Great Grandmaster Juku Sanrin, who died of old age in the Thousand Buddhas Temple, stepped into the grade 1 Great Grandmaster realm at the age of 79. After more than 100 years, he was trapped in grade 1. Of course, compared to the metamorphosis of his physical body, mind, and inner strength, grasping the wisp of aura in the world was even more illusory. However, Su Qin had already solved this problem, which had stumped most of the peak rank ones since ancient times. On this trip out, not only did I sign in and obtain the Demonic Path's supreme secret technique, the Heavenly Demon strategy, but I also took the opportunity to directly face the power of heaven and earth to grasp that wisp of aura. A smile emerged on Su Qin's face. From a certain perspective, grasping that strand of qi had saved Su Qin at least 10 or 20 years of time. Just as Su Qin was deep in thought, he arrived at the scripture pavilion. System, sign in for me. Su Qin looked around and muttered in his heart. Congratulations to the host for signing in successfully. You have received the Dharma swordsmanship. Sword technique? Su Qin raised his eyebrows. In the past 15 years, he had obtained countless secret techniques from the scripture pavilion, but there were not many sword techniques, only less than 100. After all, the weapons of the Shaolin Temple are generally sticks and the like, or they are directly bare-handed, and they rarely use sharp weapons. Dharma? Su Qin's heart moved. Dharma is a certain ancestor of the Shaolin Temple thousands of years ago. He is known as the only legendary figure in the history of the Shaolin Temple. Ancestor Dharma. Su Qin looked slightly emotional. Even for the Shaolin Temple, Ancestor Dharma is extremely mysterious because no one knows how strong Ancestor Dharma is. Grade 1 Great Grandmaster? Peak Grade 1 Great Grandmaster? Or a Grade 1 Great Perfection that has transformed 3 times? Or even an existence that directly achieved the Arhat fruit? 1. At this moment, a lot of insights about the Dharma swordsmanship poured into Su Qin's mind. In an instant, the various subtleties of the Dharma swordsmanship constantly collided in Su Qin's mind, and finally faintly formed a sword light that can break everything. After a while, Su Qin slowly opened his eyes. Ancestor Dharma, I'm afraid that he has really achieved the Arhat fruit. Su Qin exclaimed in his heart. The level involved in this Dharma swordsmanship, even in Su Qin's eyes, is extremely brilliant. Just through this swordsmanship, Su Qin has already concluded that the height of ancestor Dharma is probably completely above the 9th grade martial Tao. Time passed slowly. A year passed in a blink of an eye. During this year, Su Qin's life did not have the slightest ups and downs. Time passed slowly. After this year, Su Qin spent almost all his time purifying his internal strength except for signing in. At the current speed, the transformation of my internal strength will be completed in a few years at most. Su Qin judged in his heart. On this day, after signing in outside the Bodhi court, Su Qin was casually sweeping the ground after signing in. Suddenly, an aura rose from the depths of the Bodhi court. Not long after this aura appeared, the court heads of the Shaolin Temple quickly rushed over and gathered outside the Bodhi court. This is... The warrior monastery's court head's eyes were filled with surprise and surprise. He seemed to have guessed something, but he was not sure. The other court heads were the same, their expressions were mixed with disbelief. Half an hour later, Abbot Huiwen and the Bodhi court head walked out together. The Bodhi court head was still the same, but Abbot Huiwen's aura was much deeper. Abbot, you, the warrior monastery's court head wanted to say something but hesitated, looking at Abbot Huiwen carefully. The Bodhi court head next to him couldn't help but say directly, "The abbot has broken through smoothly and has become a holy monk." When these words came out, the court heads wept with joy. 60 years. It has been 60 years. Since the death of the last holy monk of the Shaolin Temple 60 years ago, the Shaolin Temple has not given birth to a grade 1 holy monk. In this case, although the Shaolin Temple barely retains the title of a great sect by virtue of its heritage, the pressure it is under can be imagined. In the world, only a force with a grade 1 great grandmaster is qualified to be called a great sect. If there is no grade 1 holy monk, the Shaolin Temple's title as a great sect will not be justified. Great! The Arhat court head looked excited. Abbot, since you have stepped into grade 1, does the Shaolin Temple need to announce it to the world? Generally speaking, grade 1 great grandmasters have a high status in today's martial arts world. The birth of any grade 1 great grandmaster can be announced to the world. No need. Abbot Huiwen shook his head. The world is so big and there are so many powerhouses. Not to mention the outside world, even within the temple, I am far inferior to a holy monk. How would I dare to announce it to the world? Abbot Huiwen said slowly with a face full of emotion. When the court heads heard this, they were suddenly shocked. In their view, a holy monk of the temple is indeed powerful, but now Abbot Huiwen has also become a holy monk. You are a holy monk, and I am also a holy monk. Everyone is a holy monk. It stands to reason that even if there is a gap, it should not be too big. Chapter 53. Abbot Huiwen glanced around and knew the doubts in the court heads' hearts. Before I stepped into grade 1, I thought the same as you, but now. Abbot Huiwen paused before continuing. It wasn't until now that I realized how great the ancestor of a holy monk was. Compared with him, I'm afraid I'm not even a frog at the bottom of a well. Huiwen's face was bitter, but there was also a trace of awe. Not to mention the other actions of the ancestor of a holy monk. Just a year ago, the other party saved Abbot Huiwen from cultivation deviation. This kind of means is something that Abbot Huiwen will never be able to achieve in his life. In all honesty, Abbot Huiwen is also a grade 1 great grandmaster, but if he were to save a martial artist who had cultivation deviation, the only way is to barely hang on to his life at the cost of a great injury to his vitality. As for more, Abbot Huiwen can't do it. The human body is very complex. After cultivation deviation, the martial artist's meridians will become chaotic and their internal force will go berserk. Even if it is a grade 1 great grandmaster, if they are not careful, not only will they not be able to save the other party, they may even accelerate the degree of cultivation deviation. But what about the ancestor of a holy monk? Not only did he save Abbot Huiwen's life, but he also completely recovered him. This ability to reverse life and death is not an exaggeration. When the other court heads heard Abbot Huiwen's words, they looked at each other, and their hearts were in turmoil. They did not expect that Abbot Huiwen's evaluation of the ancestor of a holy monk would be so high. Especially the disciplinary court head. At first, he thought that Abbot Huiwen was being modest, but after listening for a long time, he found that Abbot Huiwen was completely sincere. What's with the long faces? My Shaolin temple has such an ancestor, shouldn't it be a good thing? The Bodhi court heads saw the expressions of the court heads and coldly snorted. Suddenly, the other court heads suddenly woke up. That's right. Even if what Abbot Huiwen said was true, and the strength of a holy monk was unfathomable, wasn't this great news for the Shaolin temple? Thinking of this, the court heads became excited again. What all the court heads, including Abbot Huiwen, did not know was that their conversation had fallen into the ears of Su Qin, who was sweeping the floor not far away. A holy monk? Su Qin didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Although he often heard the words, a holy monk, from other disciples of the Shaolin temple, Su Qin found it quite interesting that even Abbot Huiwen addressed him as senior. After Abbot Huiwen chatted with the court heads for a while, they parted ways and returned to their respective courtyards to do their own things. Abbot Huiwen becoming a grade 1A holy monk was certainly a happy event, but he couldn't forget other things because of this. Su Qin also returned to the handyman court. As soon as he arrived at the handyman court, Su Qin saw some disciples gathered together and whispered something. Have you heard? The demon sect headquarters in Yongzhou was said to have been wiped out by a nameless holy monk. Many elders of the demon sect in the upper realm, and even the sect master of the demon sect, died. The huge demon sect collapsed overnight, and countless disciples of the demon sect fled for their lives. It was miserable. A young novice monk in his teens said quickly, and his tone revealed great shock. Su Qin was slightly stunned when he heard this. He clearly remembered that he had done this a year ago. How come people were still talking about it? However, Su Qin thought about it and understood. This world was not like Su Qin's previous life. There was no network transmission, and the speed of the news was naturally greatly reduced. In particular, Yongzhou was thousands of miles away from the Shaolin temple. Perhaps Abbot Huiwen and the court heads had special intelligence channels and knew about this matter a long time ago. But these novice monks obviously didn't have such conditions. Just as Su Qin was thinking about it, these disciples began to talk again. Is it true? There are many experts in the demon sect headquarters. If it was so easy to wipe them out, how could the demon sect have existed for so many years? Of course it's true. I tell you, the source of the news is absolutely possible. This is what my uncle from Yongzhou said. It's absolutely true. The novice monk who spoke first patted his chest and promised. I don't know which ancestor of the Shaolin temple is a holy monk who wiped out the demon sect headquarters. To suppress the demon sect with his own strength, it's simply a legend. Many disciples whispered to each other with admiration in their eyes. Yes, I hope that one day I can have the strength of a holy monk. The teenage novice monk's face was full of yearning. Stop dreaming. Even if you cultivate for 1,000 years, you can't reach the level of a holy monk. A disciple next to him rolled his eyes and said, That's right. If you have the time to dream, why don't you work hard? Maybe you can ask the court head to transfer you to the warrior monastery or the Arhat monastery. Well, how dare you laugh at me? The teenage novice monk was suddenly unhappy. At this moment, these disciples saw that Su Qin was walking towards them. They didn't dare to continue the conversation and dispersed. For these disciples, Su Qin's qualifications were very high. He could even speak to the court head. Coupled with the age gap and the fact that Su Qin usually didn't talk, they were afraid of Su Qin from the bottom of their hearts. Su Qin didn't care about these things. For Su Qin, the gossip of the disciples was something he usually listened to. He didn't take it seriously at all. Time passed slowly. In the blink of an eye, another 3 years had passed. In these 3 years, as Su Qin continued to purify his inner strength, he almost felt that the transformation of his inner strength was about to end. Just a little bit more. It should be today. Su Qin's thoughts fluctuated. At night, he directly sneaked into the forbidden area of the back mountain and prepared to complete the transformation of his inner strength here. The back mountain was the forbidden area of the Shaolin temple. Coupled with the seal left by Turan 900 years ago, It could be said to be absolutely safe and hidden. Bush. Su Qin sat cross-legged, his inner strength surging in his body. Buzz! He saw a cluster of invisible flames burning slowly, constantly purifying his inner strength. He didn't know how much time had passed. At a certain moment, the inner strength in Su Qin's body seemed to have been purified to a certain qualitative change, and all of it shrank in his dantian. Then, a drop of completely liquid inner strength appeared. Compared to the previous gaseous inner strength, the liquid inner strength was obviously much stronger, and there was a faint pressure rising. This drop of liquid inner strength seemed to have caused a chain reaction. After that, drop after drop of liquid inner strength continued to appear and quickly integrated into every part of Su Qin's body, constantly running between his tendons and meridians. After a few hours, Su Qin leisurely opened his eyes. The depths of his pupils seemed to be hanging upside down, slowly rotating. At this time, Su Qin's inner strength, divine sense, and body had all completed the transformation. The three elements combined into one, and he became grade 1 great perfection. Whoosh! Chapter 54. Finally, grade 1 great perfection. Su Qin slowly got up, his eyes calm, and said softly, Grade 1 Great Grandmaster, after the transformation of divine sense, body, and internal strength, there is no room for improvement, and it is grade 1 great perfection. What is grade 1 great perfection? It is when one has cultivated to the extreme in the grade 1 realm, and one step further, it is the Arhat realm of Buddhism, or the legend realm of Jianghu. This is grade 1 great perfection. Of course, if you want to truly achieve the Arhat realm or the legend realm, you still need to grasp the qi between the heavens and earth. However, this qi has no effect on the strength of a grade 1 great perfection. A grade 1 great perfection who has grasped this qi has the same combat power as a grade 1 great perfection who has not grasped it. The transformation of body, divine sense, and internal strength has made me without any shortcomings. At this time, I can really be called the strongest under Arhat. There seems to be an inexplicable vortex slowly rotating in the depths of Su Qin's pupils. His body's qi and blood are unprecedentedly prosperous, his divine sense is abundant, and it can almost affect reality. His internal strength is completely liquefied, and every drop of it is heavy, constantly circulating in his meridians. At this moment, Su Qin can immediately attack the Arhat realm and reach a height that countless martial artists in the world can only look up to in their lifetime. But Su Qin did not do so. Abbot Huiwen's lesson was a lesson in front of him. With Abbot Huiwen's foundation and accumulation, stepping into grade 1 should not be a problem, but because he was anxious for success, he finally suffered qi deviation and almost died. The difference between Su Qin and Abbot Huiwen is, when Abbot Huiwen suffered qi deviation, Su Qin saved him, but if Su Qin suffers qi deviation, it can be said that no one in the world can save him. Even if Tarahan comes back to life, he may not be able to save Su Qin. No rush. Take it slow. After a few months, adjust my mentality to the best, and then prepare for the breakthrough. Su Qin's thoughts fluctuated. At this moment, his physical body, spiritual sense, and inner strength had been completely perfected. He could not improve any further and only needed to adjust his mentality. In the following period of time, Su Qin had completely put down his cultivation. Other than signing in every day, he was like a monk sweeping the floor, waking up at sunrise and resting at sunset. He recited the Buddhist scriptures with the other disciples. He listened attentively to the teachings of the head abbot. Meanwhile, deep in the Western Desert, the Western Desert was located in the far west of the continent, bordering the Immensity Sea. If the Immensity Sea was still inhabited, then the Western Desert was a complete forbidden zone for life. Everything within a radius of 1,000,000 miles was a barren desert. Even a martial artist would starve to death due to the lack of water and food if they were trapped in the Western Desert and could not find their way. At this very moment, evil cult disciple Kuan Kong was walking in the depths of Western Desert. The scorching sun hung high in the sky, emitting a terrifying amount of heat. If Kun Kong was not a rank 4 martial artist and could circulate his inner strength to slow down the loss of water in his body, he would have been reduced to a dried corpse by now. "Oh Devil Lord, if you don't appear, I'm really going to die here." Kun Kong's lips were dry and cracked, and his aura was extremely weak. More than 4 years ago, all the higher-ups of the upper realm of the demon sect were wiped out overnight by a holy monk. Kun Kong then thought of the previous master of the demon sect who came to the western desert for seclusion. In order to revive the demon sect, Kun Kong came to the western desert without hesitation, wanting to find the previous master of the demon sect and ask him to come out and protect the disciples of the demon sect. But unfortunately, for years, Kun Kong walked in the western desert for 4 years. Not to mention the previous master of the demon sect, he didn't even see a single person. Is my demon sect destined to decline and I'm going to die here? Kun Kong knelt on the ground, his eyes full of despair. After staying in this damned place for 4 years, not only did Kun Kong suffer great physical torture, but his spirit was also ravaged like never before. If it weren't for the obsession in his heart, Kun Kong would have given up long ago. Suddenly, at this moment, rumble! A huge roar came. Kun Kong subconsciously looked up and saw a sandstorm that seemed to connect the heavens and the earth. In the western desert, the most terrible thing was not the lack of water or food, but encountering such natural disasters. Even if it was a martial artist in the upper realm, under such a scale of sandstorm, they would be crushed. Even if I die, I can't die of thirst or starvation. Kun Kong seemed to have figured out something and stood up reluctantly. Not only did he not escape, but he also walked in the direction of the sandstorm. However, as Kun Kong continued to approach the sandstorm, he suddenly noticed something from the corner of his eyes. That is? Kun Kong's face changed greatly, as if he had seen an incredible scene. In the depths of the sandstorm, a black dot slowly walked over. Wherever this black dot went, the extremely violent sand and dust would all avoid it. The black dot walked quickly, and one could vaguely see that it was a man in a black robe. Under Kun Kong's incredulous gaze, the black-robed man stopped in front of him. "Blood transformation art? You are a disciple of my demon sect?" The black-robed man looked at Kun Kong and said slowly. His voice was a little hoarse, as if he hadn't spoken for a long time. "Demon Lord. You are the Demon Lord." Kun Kong's heart was set off monstrous waves. Without hesitation, he knelt on the ground again and shouted, "Demon sect disciple Kun Kong greets the Demon Lord." "Demon Lord?" A smile appeared on the black-robed man's face. "No one has called me that for a long time." "Speak. Why are you looking for me?" The black-robed man looked at Kun Kong and said slowly. He had stayed in the western desert for 50 years, tempering himself day and night with the harsh environment here. He almost forgot the passage of time, and even forgot that there was a demon sect outside. "Demon Lord, my demon sect has been destroyed." Kun Kong raised his head and said with a tragic expression. "Destroyed?" The black-robed man's eyes narrowed slightly. Although the black-robed man didn't care about the demon sect, he was still the former demon sect master. For the black-robed man, the demon sect was like his private property. He didn't care about it, but if others came to destroy it, it would be a provocation to the black-robed man. "Demon Lord, more than 4 years ago, a nameless holy monk from the Shaolin Temple came to our door and wiped out many upper realm elders and sect master at that time." Kun Kong didn't dare to add any details and told the truth. "What is the strength of this generation's demon sect master?" The black-robed man asked faintly. Kun Kong hesitated for a while and said, "At that time, the sect master should have stepped into grade 1 great grandmaster." "Interesting. It's interesting." The black-robed man heard this and said calmly, "The demon sect cultivation techniques are extreme. Even if one has just entered grade 1 great grandmaster, they can still exert the combat power of peak grade 1. To be able to kill a demonic sect rank 1 so easily and capture all the other elders in one fell swoop, that nameless holy monk should be a peak rank 1 who has undergone metamorphosis." Not only did the black-robed man's face not show any fear, but it was full of joy. "When I stepped into the western desert, I used the harsh environment to polish myself day and night. I never slacked off for a moment. The black-robed man's voice became louder and louder, and eventually turned into a roar of panic that spread in all directions. In the past 50 years, my body has transformed, and my internal strength has also transformed. I only need to transform my divine sense to enter the great perfection realm. The black-robed man's eyes were like lightning, as if cutting through the void. However, it is extremely difficult to transform my divine sense. For me, only through a life and death battle between powerhouses of the same level can I have a glimmer of hope. When the black-robed man said this, the aura around him had completely risen. I'd like to see if that nameless holy monk from the Shaolin Temple can give me the pressure of life and death. Chapter 55. Demon Lord. Kun Kong subconsciously hit his forehead on the ground, not daring to look directly at the black-robed man. In front of the terrifying aura of the black-robed man, Kun Kong only felt that he was a small boat in the sea and could be sunk by the waves at any time. Transformation of the physical body, transformation of the inner force. Kun Kong only felt his mind go blank. Although he is only a martial artist in the middle realm, as a demon sect disciple, he is still clear about the division of the Grade 1 Great Grandmaster realm. If a Grade 1 Great Grandmaster wants to continue to become stronger, he can only start with the body, divinity, and internal strength. Whether it is the body, internal strength, or divinity, one of the three transformations is peak Grade 1. In the present world, there are only a few known peak Grade 1, such as the imperial teacher of the Meng Yuan dynasty and Daoist Zhang of Wudong true martial lineage. Kun Kong did not expect that the previous demon sect master not only became a peak Grade 1 in the past 50 years, but also transformed his body, divinity, and internal strength. Such terrifying strength has already exceeded the imagination of ordinary martial artists. Except for the fact that he can't fly, he is almost invincible in the world. A holy monk nameless. The young monk in a gray robe inexplicably appeared in Kun Kong's mind. He just took a look at him from a distance, but he did not expect that the image of the other party would be like a brand, firmly engraved in his heart. This time, the demon lord has made a move. My demon sect's deep hatred will all be returned. Kun Kong's eyes flashed with a trace of joy. Shaolin Temple. The ancient bell rang. In front of the Bodhi court. Congratulations to the host for signing in successfully. Obtain the medicinal pill, barrier-breaking pill. A cold, mechanical voice sounded in Su Qin's ears. Barrier-breaking pill? Su Qin nodded slightly. Barrier-breaking pill is a medicinal pill that specializes in breaking through martial arts bottlenecks. Of course, this medicinal pill can't ignore any bottleneck. Generally speaking, taking a barrier-breaking pill from the lower realm to the middle realm can increase the possibility of breaking through by 10%. Don't underestimate this 10% possibility. It is unknown how many martial artists in the lower realm are stuck in a bottleneck because of this 10% possibility. As for breaking through from the middle 3 realms to the upper 3 realms, the effect wasn't that great. No one knows whether the barrier-breaking pill is useful when a Grade 1 Great Perfection breaks through to the realm of Arhat. But it was better than nothing. With Su Qin's current strength, most of the pills that could increase his strength had no effect on him. The barrier-breaking pill was already considered rare. After signing in, Su Qin cleaned the Bodhi court for half a day and then prepared to return to the handyman court. It's almost done. Su Qin thought to himself as he walked slowly along the shady path of the Shaolin Temple. After several months of recuperation, Su Qin had completely integrated himself into the identity of a sweeping monk. His state of mind was incomparably calm and unperturbed. It could be said that the current Su Qin was at his peak in the past 30 years. Should I leave something for the Shaolin Temple before I make the breakthrough? Su Qin passed by the Hall of Great Strength and looked at the golden body of Buddha enshrined inside, his thoughts fluctuating. Unknowingly, he had been in the Shaolin Temple for almost 20 years. From a 10-year-old child at the beginning, he has grown into a Grade 1 Great Perfection who can overlook the world. Forget it. The Shaolin Temple has been open for thousands of years, and many Arhat existences have walked out. If the later generations are really incompetent, it will be meaningless no matter how many I keep. Su Qin shook his head slightly. He was very open-minded. A moment later, Su Qin returned to the handyman court. Many young novice monks in their teens were talking and laughing as they walked over. When they saw Su Qin, they immediately said cautiously, "Greetings, Uncle Zhenguan." "Greetings, Martial Uncle Zhenguan." The group of young novice monks carefully bowed to him. "So I'm already at the level of martial uncle?" Su Qin couldn't help but laugh inwardly. In the world of martial arts, 20 years was considered an era. The Shaolin Temple also takes 20 years as a generation. Su Qin has been in the Shaolin Temple for nearly 20 years. Although he is still a sweeping monk, his seniority has increased by a level. Today, the new disciples of the Shaolin Temple are all of the Xian generation, which is one generation lower than the Zhen generation. Shortly after Su Qin returned, the new handyman court head came to the door. "Court head." Su Qin looked at the new court head and said, "Since the death of the old court head, Su Qin and the new court head have been getting along well. In addition, the Shaolin Temple is not a place for intrigue. If there is nothing to do, no one will care about Su Qin." Sometimes, when Su Qin went to the back mountain for a few days, the new court head would only ask a few questions and not say much. Su Qin has been in the temple for nearly 20 years. The new court head will not blame Su Qin too much unless someone is against him. "The Bodhi court is recruiting disciples recently. Do you want to have a try?" The new court head of the handyman court said directly. 20 years ago, when Su Qin first entered the Shaolin Temple, he was found to have no aptitude for martial arts. Because of this, he was assigned to the handyman court. When the Bodhi court recruited disciples this time, the new court head of the handyman court thought of Su Qin immediately. The Bodhi court is an important place for refining elixirs in the Shaolin Temple. It also doesn't pay much attention to martial arts aptitude. If Su Qin went to the Bodhi court, it should be much better than sweeping the floor now. One must know that the Bodhi court has always been the most mysterious court of the Shaolin Temple, and they rarely recruit disciples from outside. Now there is an opportunity, which is really rare. "Court head. I'm old and I don't want to move." Su Qin's eyes were calm as he said. Su Qin really has no interest in the Bodhi court. After 20 years of signing in, Su Qin has put countless elixirs in the system space. In Su Qin's eyes, the Bodhi court is not attractive at all. If he wants elixirs, can't he just sign in there? Why go through so much trouble to refine them? Of course, Su Qin doesn't refine elixirs, not because he doesn't know how to refine elixirs. In the past 20 years, Su Qin has signed in at least hundreds of secret books related to alchemy in the scripture pavilion. The new court head nodded slightly and didn't say anything more. A few more days passed. Back mountain forbidden area. Su Qin sat cross-legged. "I can't wait any longer." Su Qin's expression was calm, and he made a decision in his heart. The first drum of energy, the second will weaken, and the third will be exhausted. At this moment, Su Qin has already reached the peak. If he continues to delay, his state may even begin to decline. "Arhat's Buddhahood, tonight." Su Qin waved his hand, and hundreds of thousands of bottles of elixirs suddenly appeared in front of him. These elixirs were specially selected by Su Qin, and they may help him break through this time. For example, Barrier Breaking Pill, Ice Heart Pill, Essence Cultivating Pill, and so on. Although it has long been recorded in the ancient books of the Shaolin Temple that one can only rely on themselves to achieve Arhat's Buddhahood, and the effect of external forces is almost negligible. But Su Qin's personality is cautious. Whether it is useful or not, he will prepare it first. Arhat. Chapter 56. Tang Dynasty. Tiantai Sect. As a righteous sect in the Tang Dynasty, Tiantai Sect had many disciples, and the sect master, Daoist Tianlian, was a peak grade 1 great grandmaster. Although Tiantai Sect was not as old as the Shaolin Temple, this generation was obviously in a prosperous period. In addition to the sect master, Daoist Tianlian, there were 2 grade 1 great grandmasters. At this moment, several disciples of Tiantai Sect were talking in a low voice. Senior Brother Ruan, some time ago, you participated in the encirclement of the demon sect remnants. What was the result? I heard that those demon sect remnants are ruthless. A young disciple who had just entered the sect asked curiously. He, the middle-aged man named Senior Brother Ruan sneered and said, "What else can I do? How can those demon sect bastards be opponents of our Tiantai sect?" This time, the righteous sects joined forces, and our Tiantai sect killed the most demon sect remnants. Senior Brother Ruan said proudly. Since 5 years ago, the demon sect master and many elders of the upper realm fell overnight, countless demon sect disciples fled in fear and scattered all over the world. Over the years, in order to eliminate the root of the problem, the righteous sects led by Tiantai sect joined forces to encircle and annihilate the demon sect remnants several times. However, I heard that the reason why the demon sect disciples were defeated so quickly was all because of a holy monk of the Shaolin Temple. The young disciple who had just entered the sect seemed to have thought of something and asked excitedly. As soon as this came out, Senior Brother Ruan frowned slightly and finally said reluctantly, "It is indeed the Shaolin Temple's credit." Suddenly, a hoarse and cold voice came. "Your Tiantai sect killed the most demon sect disciples?" A man in a black robe slowly walked over. The man in the black robe was thousands of meters away at first, but in an instant he had already arrived in front of Tiantai sect. "Or you?" Senior Brother Ruan looked at the man in the black robe without the slightest fear on his face. "You know, this is Tiantai sect. Even if the man in the black robe has the courage, he wouldn't dare to make a move here." Puma. The man in the black robe raised his hand slightly, and wisps of demon chi slowly spread and covered the surroundings. "I am the demon sect member you said." "Pucci." Several disciples of Tiantai sect, including Senior Brother Ruan, instantly turned into blood mist. "Who are you?" The deputy suzerain of the Tiantai sect turned into an illusion and rushed over. He looked at the black-robed man seriously. "It seems that after 50 years of seclusion, some people have already forgotten who I am?" The man in the black robe laughed wildly. He flicked his finger and sent the deputy lord of the Tiantai sect, whose strength had reached grade 1, flying. "You!" The deputy lord of the Tiantai sect spat out a mouthful of blood and looked at the black-robed man in shock. He had never imagined that the black-robed man in front of him would have such terrifying strength. At this moment, there was a sigh. "It's been 50 years since we last met, Devil Master. You're still as powerful as ever." Tiantai sect's patriarch, Tianlian Jinren, slowly walked over and looked at the black-robed man with a complicated expression. "What? Demon Lord? Master?" If it was just 50 years, he wouldn't think too much. But with the addition of the word Demon Lord, it was unusual. 50 years ago, a demon lord with great talent and vision appeared in Demon Sect. It was because of this demon lord's rule that Demon Sect flourished and almost suppressed the good faction. Unfortunately, for some unknown reason, the leader of the Demon Sect suddenly disappeared mysteriously. Without his leadership, the Demon Sect and the righteous faction were forced to retreat step by step. In the end, they were squeezed into Yongzhou. It was rumored that the Demon Sect master was dead. Otherwise, why didn't he appear for 50 years? Why did he let Demon Sect decline? But now, Tiantai sect's deputy sect master looked at the man in the black robe not far away and was shocked. "Demon Lord, what brings you here this time?" Jinren Zun Tian Lien said solemnly. 50 years ago, the Demon Lord was peak rank 1. Now, he was also peak rank 1. Although Jinren Zun Tian Lien was afraid of the Demon Lord, he was not afraid. Both of them were peak rank 1. Even if he couldn't defeat the Demon Lord, it was impossible for the Demon Lord to kill him. It was because of this that Jinren Zun Tian Lien dared to appear in front of the Demon Lord. "It's very simple." A smile appeared on the Black Lord's face. "You killed my Demon Sect disciples. I'll destroy your Tiantai sect." As soon as the man in the black robe finished speaking, a terrifying demon chi exploded and shrouded the area. Half a day later, Tiantai sect's sect master, Jinren Zun Tian Lien, died in the battle. 2 rank 1 deputy sect masters died in the battle. Except for a few Tiantai sect disciples who escaped, the rest died. The demon lord appeared. When the escaped Tiantai sect disciples brought the news, it immediately spread to the pugilistic world in the Tang dynasty at a terrifying speed. Maybe the younger generation didn't know, but the older generation of martial artists who had survived 50 years ago knew how terrifying the demon lord was. 50 years ago, the demon lord alone suppressed the good faction. If it wasn't for his inexplicable disappearance, the pugilistic world would have been ruled by demon sect. How is it possible? Zhenren Zun Tian Lian is a peak rank 1 great grandmaster. Even if he can't defeat the demon lord, he won't die in battle, right? Could it be that the demon lord has taken that step? Countless martial artists trembled in their hearts. Although Daoist Zhang on Wudong Mountain also took that step and became a peak grade 1, Daoist Zhang is different from the demon lord. Daoist Zhang became a peak grade 1 in the 50 years after the demon lord disappeared, and his character is indifferent, detached from the world, and has no ambition. But the demon lord, once the demon lord completely dominates the entire pugilistic world, what awaits them is a real purgatory. After the demon lord appeared, he gathered the demon sect disciples scattered all over the world to rebuild the demon sect, and began to attack the righteous sects that had slaughtered the demon sect disciples. For a time, the demon sect flourished, and the righteous sects were constantly defeated. During this period, the grade 1 great grandmasters of the righteous path didn't think of resisting, but every time they gathered all their strength and prepared to cut off all means of retreat, they were suppressed by the demon lord. This scene made some existences in the pugilistic world even more convinced that the demon lord must have taken that step and become a peak grade 1 great grandmaster. And just when the demon lord's demon might was monstrous, he suddenly said, 10 days later, I will personally climb Xiaoshi Mountain and meet a holy monk of the Shaolin Temple. Suddenly, many martial artists faintly realized that this was the real purpose of the demon lord's appearance. A holy monk of the Shaolin Temple? Everyone was wondering, is a holy monk of the Shaolin Temple really an opponent of the demon lord? Just when the outside world was in an uproar. Shaolin Temple. Back Mountain Forbidden Area. Chapter 57. Thump, thump, thump. The sound of a strong and powerful heartbeat kept ringing. Su Qin sat cross-legged quietly with his eyes slightly closed. Within a few hundred meters of his body, the air began to distort faintly, and a surging and profound power was constantly being nurtured and converging. Huff! At this moment, Su Qin took a deep breath, and suddenly, the world's essence qi in the entire Back Mountain Forbidden Area surged and turned into a huge funnel-like phantom that was quickly absorbed and devoured by him. Time passed slowly. Su Qin's body also underwent earth-shaking changes. Under the fusion of body, divine sense, and internal strength, Su Qin's 5 viscera and 6 bowels, every piece of flesh, and every blood vessel began to transform rapidly. If a grade 1 great grandmaster has already begun to transcend mortality, then Arhat Dao Immortal is completely above all beings. Every Arhat, or legend, has already surpassed ordinary humans in essence. Arhat Dao Immortal, it's finally done. Su Qin slowly opened his eyes. His pupils were dark and deep, as vast as the starry sky of the universe. Su Qin stood up and looked at his hands. At this moment, his body has completely crossed to another level. He can spontaneously absorb world's essence qi and does not need external food to replenish his energy. Those who have truly reached the level of Qi Eater are immortal. In addition, Su Qin felt that as long as he willed it, he could control the world's essence qi within several miles of him. His every movement was like the might of heaven and earth. Whether it is Arhat Dao Immortal or legend, their most powerful means is the world's essence qi. For a grade 1 great grandmaster, even if it is a grade 1 great perfection who has transformed 3 times, they will still be wary of the human wave tactic. If they are trapped in an army of millions, they are likely to be exhausted to death. Of course, no peak grade 1 is so stupid as to take the initiative to jump into the encirclement of an army of millions. But Arhat Dao Immortal is different. At this level, unless it is a powerhouse of the same level, They will not be afraid even if they are besieged by more people. It's been 10 days? Su Qin carefully sensed for a while and knew how long it had been since he had broken through. Originally, Su Qin thought that he would only need one night to break through, but he didn't expect it to take so long. Time to go out. Su Qin quickly retracted his aura, and in a few moments, he was no different from before he broke through. After reaching the realm of Arhat, Su Qin's control over his body had reached an unprecedented level. Very soon, Su Qin left the forbidden area of the back mountain and appeared on a shady path not far from the chore's yard. Su Qin found that the atmosphere in the Shaolin Temple was a bit strange. The disciples of the Shaolin Temple who came and went all looked flustered, as if they were facing some kind of crisis. What should we do? What should we do? The demon sect has come knocking on our door. Can the abbot and the rest stop them? Whether they can stop them or not, our Shaolin Temple is the most righteous sect. How can we be afraid of the demon sect? The two disciples of the Shaolin Temple hurriedly said a few words and rushed in the direction of the Great Strength Hall. Demon sect? Su Qin frowned, and his divine sense spread out in all directions like waves. After stepping into the realm of Arhat, Su Qin's divine sense soared dozens of times. It could only cover a few hundred feet, but now it could cover thousands of feet. After a while, Su Qin sighed softly and also walked in the direction of the Great Strength Hall. Not long after, Su Qin had just arrived at the Great Strength Hall when he was stopped by the patrolling monk, Zhenji. "Zhenguan, why haven't I seen you these days?" Zhenji just asked casually, and his eyes were fixed on the field. At this moment, outside the Great Strength Hall, the people of the demon sect and the disciples of the Shaolin Temple were confronting each other. "Bald donkeys, if you know what's good for you and obediently submit to our demon sect, maybe we can spare your lives." A man with a gloomy face sneered. "Demon sect remnants." The warrior monastery's court head was hot-tempered and shouted angrily on the spot. The other court heads looked dignified, and their eyes fell on a man in a black robe. The black-robed man's aura was deep, and just by standing there, it made people feel suffocated. "Namo Amitba, Demon Lord, why do you have to force us?" Huiwen put his hands together and looked at the black-robed man. The Black Lord's face flashed with a trace of sarcasm. "Huiwen, you old bald donkey, I'll give you two choices. One is to submit, and the other is to destroy your sect." The Black Lord's voice was not loud, but it resounded in the ears of every Shaolin Temple disciple. Suddenly, many Shaolin Temple disciples were so angry that their faces turned red. "Namo Amitba." Abbot Huiwen took a step forward and stood in front of everyone. The Shaolin Temple is a great sect that has been passed down for thousands of years. How can it surrender to the demon sect? In that case, this poor monk will come and experience your supreme martial Tao, Demon Lord. When Abbot Huiwen said this, the expressions of the other court heads changed. There have long been rumors in Jianghu that the Demon Lord has taken that step and became a peak Grade 1 Great Grandmaster. Although Abbot Huiwen is also Grade 1, if he fights with a peak Grade 1, the result can be imagined. "Abbot, you can't." "Yes, we can't fall into the demon sect's trap," the court head said eagerly. "If I don't go to hell, who will?" Abbot Huiwen shook his head slightly. Today, the strongest person in the Shaolin Temple is Abbot Huiwen. If he doesn't stand up, who will? Although the Shaolin Temple has a mysterious ancestor, a holy monk, but until now, that ancestor, a holy monk, has not appeared. There may be some concerns. At this time, even if Abbot Huiwen knows that he is not the Demon Lord's opponent, he can only bite the bullet. Just an ant. The Demon Lord sneered, raised his right hand, and casually slapped down. In an instant, the terrifying demonic energy boiled and shrouded Abbot Huiwen. Abbot Huiwen retreated 3 steps in a row, and finally spat out a mouthful of blood. The abbot of the Shaolin Temple, a dignified Grade 1 Great Grandmaster, couldn't even take a single blow from the Demon Lord. Abbot, are you okay?" "Demon sect remnants, I will fight with you." Countless disciples of the Shaolin Temple were worried, and the court heads immediately supported the abbot. "It's okay, I'm just a little injured. Abbot Huiwen's face was as pale as paper, and he said in a trembling voice. The demon lord should have held back, otherwise, even if he could survive, he would be seriously injured and dying. It would be impossible for him to still be standing. The Shaolin Temple is finished. Seeing this scene, the court heads felt their hearts turn cold. Just now, they still had a glimmer of hope in their hearts, thinking that the demon lord might not have taken that step as the rumors said. In this way, the Shaolin Temple may still have hope to repel the demon sect. But now it seems that even Abbot Huiwen, a grade 1 great grandmaster, couldn't take a single blow from the demon lord. The strength of the demon lord is far from what the Shaolin Temple can deal with. In this case, what can the Shaolin Temple use to block the demon sect? Is it possible that the inheritance of the Shaolin Temple for thousands of years will be broken at this moment? Some court heads trembled in their hearts, and their faces were full of despair. After the Black Lord defeated Abbot Huiwen in one move, he didn't pay attention to him at all. For him, even a peak grade 1 great grandmaster like Daoist Tianlian of the Tiantai sect can be easily killed, let alone Abbot Huiwen, who has just entered grade 1, a holy monk. The black-robed demon lord slowly took 9 steps forward, looked up at the majestic great strength hall, and suddenly roared, "A holy monk John Doe. I know you are in the Shaolin Temple." The Black Lord's voice rolled and resounded throughout the Shaolin Temple. Many Shaolin Temple disciples only felt their ears buzzing, and their minds were in a trance for a moment. You killed my demon sect's disciples and almost destroyed my demon sect's inheritance. How can I ignore such a great enmity? Now, the life and death of the Shaolin Temple is in my hands. If you don't come out, I will kill every disciple of the Shaolin Temple with my own hands. After the Black Lord finished speaking, he didn't speak anymore, and his eyes were fixed on every corner of the Shaolin Temple. For the Black Lord, from the beginning to the end, his target was a holy monk John Doe of the Shaolin Temple. As for the other disciples, even a grade 1 like Abbot Huiwen, he didn't care about them. A holy monk John Doe. Abbot Huiwen's heart trembled. He didn't know whether a holy monk John Doe should come out or not. With the Devil Lord's current strength, would a holy monk John Doe be a match for him? If a holy monk John Doe was no match for him, the Shaolin Temple might really be destroyed today. A holy monk John Doe. A glimmer of hope appeared in the eyes of many Shaolin Temple disciples, like a drowning person grasping at the last straw. However, time passed. A holy monk John Doe mentioned by the Black Lord didn't appear. A holy monk John Doe? Under the Devil Lord's power, he would have fled. The disciples of the Devil Gate smiled disdainfully. Are you really scared? The black-robed demon master looked disappointed. He came out of the western desert to find a holy monk John Doe of the Shaolin Temple, fight him, and then break through under the pressure of life and death. But now it seemed that he couldn't get what he wanted. There is no need for the Shaolin Temple to exist anymore. The Devil Lord shook his head slightly, his voice lonely. Just as the Devil Lord was about to give the order to kill the disciples of the Shaolin Temple. Suddenly, a calm voice sounded. You want to take revenge on me? The next moment, under everyone's incredulous gaze. Chapter 58. Shaolin Temple. In front of the Great Strength Hall. Su Qin lowered his eyes and slowly walked toward the Black Lord. At this moment, everyone's eyes were on him. Junior brother Zhenguan, what are you doing? Zhen Ji, the patrolling monk, was stunned. He quickly walked to Su Qin, grabbed his arm and whispered, Now the temple is facing a great crisis. Why are you here to make trouble? Zhen Ji said while trying to pull Su Qin back. In Zhen Ji's view, even if the Shaolin Temple fought with the Demon Gate, it was a matter for the disciples of the Warrior Monastery and the Arhat Court. What did it have to do with Su Qin, a sweeping monk of the Chor's Yard? Most of the disciples of the Chor's Yard did not know martial arts. If they went up, not only would they not be able to solve the problem, they might even be more of a hindrance. However, no matter how hard Zhen Ji tried, Su Qin, who did not know martial arts in his eyes, was as motionless as a mountain. Since he came to me for revenge, I naturally have to go up. A smile appeared on Su Qin's face. He gently pushed Zhenji away and continued to walk. What? Zhenji's mind went blank, and he did not recover for a long time. At this moment, as Su Qin walked all the way, many disciples of the Shaolin Temple recognized him one after another. Zhen Guan. What is he doing? Is he trying to stop the Demon Lord? These disciples of the Shaolin Temple were so confused that they forgot to stop him for a moment. If a genius disciple of the warrior monastery, the Arhat court, or even the Dharma court rushed up and wanted to die together with the Demon Lord, they could understand. But Su Qin, he was just a sweeping monk of the Chore's yard. How could he be a threat to the Demon Lord? What's wrong with Zhen Guan? The new head of the Chore's yard frowned. In his eyes, Zhen Guan had always been a disciple who stood aloof from worldly affairs. He even gave up the opportunity to enter the Bodhi court. Logically speaking, such a person should be very sensible and wouldn't do anything stupid. But now, seeing Zhen Guan walk straight towards the black-robed demon master, the new handyman court head was extremely puzzled. In the end, the new handyman court head sighed softly. In the end, he couldn't bear to see Su Qin die in the hands of the furious Devil Lord. He took a step forward and appeared beside Su Qin. Zhen Guan, this is none of your business. Why don't you leave? The new chief of the Chore's court shouted in a low voice, wanting to wake up Su Qin. For the new chief of the Chore's yard, even if the Shaolin Temple was really destroyed, a disciple like Su Qin should be the last to die. Headmaster. He's looking for me. Su Qin smiled at the new court head of the Chore's court and said softly. What nonsense are you talking about? The new chief of the Chore's court frowned more and more. The Devil Lord is clearly looking for a holy monk of our temple. What does it have to do with you? The new chief of the Chore's court was angry and amused at the same time. He didn't expect that Su Qin would think that the Devil Lord was looking for him. A holy monk has saved the Shaolin Temple many times. His strength is terrifying. He is definitely an ancestor who has lived for more than 100 years. But what about Su Qin? He has only been in the temple for 20 years. How can he compare with a holy monk? Zhen Guan, I know you have good intentions, but the survival of the Shaolin Temple is not something you can decide. The Chore's court head took a deep breath and sighed softly. At this moment, the Black Lord's gaze also fell on Su Qin. The Black Lord's eyes narrowed slightly, and a faint black light emerged. He is a peak grade 1 great grandmaster who has undergone 2 transformations. His demon art has long reached great accomplishment. Therefore, the Black Lord discovered at first glance that Su Qin did not have a trace of internal strength. Let alone a peak grade 1 like him, he is not even as good as an ordinary person. And at this time, the group of demon sect disciples behind the Devil Lord had already exploded. Ha! You bald donkeys of the Shaolin Temple, are you trying to find a disciple to die for you? Bald donkeys are bald donkeys. Do you really think we are fools and can be easily fooled by you? Ha! Even if you want to find someone to die for you, shouldn't you find a martial artist? You found an ordinary person, what do you mean? The demon sect disciples laughed wantonly. Suddenly, many of the Shaolin Temple's disciples were furious. If it were not for the court head stopping them, they would have rushed out on the spot. The Black Lord's expression became colder and colder. Indeed, the words of the demon sect disciples behind him are somewhat reasonable. This little bald donkey is most likely a scapegoat thrown out by the Shaolin Temple. A holy monk nameless. You disappoint me too much. The Black Lord looked up at the Shaolin Temple and said lightly, Since you don't want to show up, I will personally kill your Shaolin Temple. The Black Lord's gaze turned and fell on Su Qin. Since the Shaolin Temple wants to use him as a scapegoat, the Black Lord does not mind starting with the other party. Wang! The Black Lord had just thought of this when strands of demonic energy began to spread and shroud down. When he massacred the Tiantai sect that day, he used this demonic art to restrict Daoist Tianlian and the 2 vice sect masters and finally killed the 3 grade 1 great grandmasters. But what should we do now? The warrior monastery's head looked at Abbot Huiwen and asked worriedly. Abbot Huiwen did not answer and sighed softly. The Shaolin Temple will fight against the demons together. When these words came out, Countless Shaolin Temple disciples looked at death calmly. Fight against the demons together. Protect Shaolin. Fight against the demons together. Protect Shaolin. Fight against the demons together. Protect Shaolin. Their voices rolled straight into the sky. What's the use of morale? In the face of absolute strength, it is meaningless. The Black Lord disdainfully looked at Su Qin again. At this moment, among the many disciples of the Shaolin Temple who were filled with grief and indignation, Su Qin, who was still calm, was extremely conspicuous. Just when the Black Lord was about to make a move, Su Qin raised his head slightly, his eyes deep. 5 years ago, I went to the Southern Witch Mountains Demon Sect headquarters. When these words came out, the Black Lord's expression changed slightly. He could tell that Su Qin's words did not seem to be a lie. At this time, Kun Kong, a demon sect disciple who had been standing behind the Black Lord, suddenly reacted. Devil Lord. Yes, it's him. He is the nameless holy monk who massacred my devil sect. Kun Kong hurried to the Black Lord and said in a trembling voice. When Su Qin came out just now, Kun Kong recognized him, so he fell into extreme shock and fear. It was not until now that he came to his senses and hurriedly told the Devil Lord. When Kun Kong said this, the whole place fell into a strange silence. Not only were the demon sect disciples in disbelief, but many disciples of the Shaolin Temple also widened their eyes. They never thought that a holy monk, who had saved the Shaolin Temple several times, was actually an inconspicuous sweeping monk in the chores yard. Welcome to Legends of Cultivation, audiobooks, where we bring ancient fantasy to life through storytelling. Follow the rise of heroes who defy fate, unlock mystical powers, and battle across celestial realms. Our audiobooks are crafted for fans of Chinese cultivation novels, filled with battles, breakthroughs, and legendary artifacts. Subscribe and be part of an unforgettable journey into the realm of immortality.